welcome or welcome back to my channel. This is your girl Sean. I'm back for another video, and welcome to another review for HBO show Insecure. This is season 4, episode 6. It's called Lowkey Done. And yeah, I'm going to jump right into it in just a minute. If you like reviews like this one, if you like fashion related posts, lifestyle content, dating advice, go ahead and subscribe to my channel. And if you're already a subscriber, hit that little bell. That way you'll be notified every single time I upload a video. I do these videos every week. All right, let's go ahead and get started. So the show actually opens up with Issa. She's laying in bed and she's replaying the argument that she had with Molly over and over in her mind, and she's sort of, playing over in her head the things that Molly said, with Molly calling her a user, and that really stuck with Issa throughout the entirety of this episode. Just really feeling like, is that true? And despite Issa going on her phone and seeing how many people loved the event, there were so many people on her Facebook page just like, the best event ever, we loved it, oh my, I had such a good time. Just even despite all of that praise, Molly took that away from her by having the night be about that fight, having the night be about Molly. She couldn't even celebrate that victory because of the things that Molly said at her event. So she listens to her voicemail, and it's a message from Amal, and it's a message from Kelli, and I think she expected to hear from Molly, but she still didn't. So she goes over to talk to her mirror self. So her mirror self tells her what she needs to hear, and that is that she's always the one that reaches out to Molly first. And I think that's why Molly feels that she is the stronger one in this power dynamic. Like, Issa always comes back to Molly, so Molly feels like, oh, she needs me. Molly needs that friendship just as much, if not as much as Issa does, because nobody else wants to hear Molly's problems, and nobody else will put up with Molly's shenanigans. But Issa, to me, does the right thing and says, you know what, I don't want to be the one who has to be the bigger person this time. So she says, you know what, I'm just going to relax, relate, release. I'm going to have my self-care Sunday all by myself. I'm not going to let this or anything else stop me. Issa starts cleaning up her place, cleaning up her fridge, all of that, just getting better organized. She's been neglecting everything except this block party for months. But anyway, she gets a call from Nathan, and Nathan's at, the barbershop. Don't forget his Instagram handle is, Nate the Barber. So he's at the shop and he's talking to Issa and he's like, how are you doing? I want to tell you did a really great job. And she's just like letting him know, I hope you don't think that I used you. I would do the same thing for you. I hope that you know that. And he was like, yeah, I wanted to help. And that's what I said last week. Molly thinks helping someone is using them, but not people who genuinely love you don't view it as being used. They view it as helping a friend out. And that's how Nate took it. Again, I'm going to say it again. I like Nate. I'm not sure he's the one for Issa, but he hasn't done anything since he's been back but pour positivity into her life and try to help her and be a strength to her. Whether he's there for friendship or romantic relationship, I don't care. This is what Issa needs. I know a lot of people haven't been a fan of Nate because he ghosted Issa, and I'm not excusing the fact that he ghosted her at all. However, if you rewatch the season finale, that episode where he and Issa have a conversation, he was trying to explain to Issa that he suffers from a mental illness. Issa cut him off, so we, the audience, didn't get to hear the extent of Nathan's mental illness. There could have been a legitimate reason why he did it. Nathan has been displaced. I believe that he was a part of the hurricane, or I forgot what the natural disaster that displaced Nathan was, but that's why he lives with Andrew. But there's more to it. People just like, oh, he ghosted her, he's done. Not everything in life is black and white. A lot of times there are shades of gray. And maybe it's just me, but I'm the kind of person that believes that one mistake shouldn't define you. So I don't think that it should define Nathan, especially when everything that he's been since he's returned has been exactly what Issa needs. Issa and Nathan's relationship was moving too fast, in my opinion, anyway. Him ghosting her forced them to start all over and to work on a friendship and go from there. And that's not a bad thing. So Issa gets dressed and she's off to the grocery store to get some wine for a wine and a sip and pate that she's heading to. And there's this pregnant woman in the line. Honestly, until this lady actually was at the register, I thought she just wanted to cut in line. It never crossed my mind, not even once, that this woman was expecting somebody in that line to pay for her groceries. So I think just like the beginning of the episode where Issa was replaying what Molly said about her being a user over and over in her mind, Issa was trying to be a good Samaritan, so she let the lady cut in front of her and she was ready to pay for the groceries, and Issa's card ended up getting declined. Embarrassing. So Issa's like, swipe it again. So the lady was like, I can, but nothing's gonna change. It's just so funny. So the lady ended up being like, girl, just thank you. And the pregnant lady just ends up walking off. And it was really a funny scene. But I think throughout the episode, Issa is struggling with what Molly said. And that's the thing. When people who love you say something, it's different than if a stranger said something. You have to really sort of take inventory and say, is this in fact true about me? And Molly kind of planted that seed of doubt in Issa. So again, Issa is out and about trying to be a good Samaritan. I feel like trying to prove to herself that she isn't a user, that she is a good person. She is. But anyway, so she sees this old man running for the bus, and the bus just straight passes him up. So Issa's like, you know what, I'm going to be a good Samaritan. I'm going to offer him a ride. So she asks him, and he hops in. This scene is so funny. The old man in here is just hilarious. But anyway, he hops in. He was telling Issa a story about him and a group of friends, you know, from back in the day and how they're not friends anymore. But he was like, you know, telling her about the good old days. But he says, I guess I should have seen the signs that it just wouldn't last. There's always a sign. And I feel like, you know, there's been like subtle hints. It was a couple of episodes ago when Issa was on her way to the baby shower and she was listening to an audiobook, or I think it might have been Becoming by Michelle Obama. And it was kind of the same thing, talking about friendships don't always last forever. So I don't know if this is the show's way of letting us know in subtle ways that Molly and Issa's friendship is not gonna last. That would be realistic. We want it to last for the sake of the show, but not all friendships are made to last. I'm sure every one of us right now probably has a friend who we used to be so close with. She was like your sister. You would do anything for her. And you probably don't even talk to her and haven't talked to her for years. Like, that's realistic. Sometimes you are friends with somebody and you would think that you would never not be friends with that person. But that's exactly what ended up happening. That's life. Sometimes you grow together and sometimes you grow apart. So after Issa drops George off to his son's house, she, you know, George the stranger, she heads over to a paint and sip, which looks so fun. Like this video if you miss outside. I miss outside so much. Of the block party from last week, the paint and sip from this week. I just miss being out and about and around people. But anyway, so she meets this group of women and they are visiting from out of town. They're actually for a bachelorette party. And I can't remember the name of the girl. She used to play on One with Flex. I can't remember her name, but here she is. But anyway, so, you know, Issa came in with this big, I don't know, it looked like a gallon, a gallon of wine. So she definitely had plenty to share. So she was sharing her wine with them and they were talking, just letting her know, letting Issa know about their friendships and the different things they had to overcome. And it kind of made what Issa and Molly are fighting about really seem very trivial. You know, one of them even slept with another one of their brothers. And it's like, they were able to laugh about it. So they invite Issa for drinks and a meal down the street at this restaurant. And so Issa kind of debates with herself for a minute, but then she obliges and decides to go with them. And it's a really great time. I love Black female friendship energy. So they were just laughing and just bonding with her and just really having a good time. And they're asking Issa, what does she do? And for the first time, at least on camera, Issa really explains what she's trying to do and what she wants to be. And it feels like she was figuring it out for the first time. She was like, well, I guess I'm more of a cultural curator. That's kind of what I do. And they were so impressed with her. They were gassing her up. And this is the energy that Issa needed and wanted from Molly and never got. But anyway, so they're enjoying themselves and all of that. And then one of the girls gets up and excuses herself to go to the restroom. And Issa's like, I have to go too. So that's what they do. They head over to the ladies' room and, you know, the lady's like, you know, where are all the men at? And so Issa's like letting her know you can find this kind of man here and that kind of man there. And then eventually it gets quiet. And so Issa's like, hello, hello, looks under the stall and the girl is gone. So Issa goes out to see that the ladies are gone. She looks at the table and all three of the ladies, she just can't see them. So she's like looking around in shock and disbelief. And then the lady hands her a bill and was like, we'll take this whenever you'd like. And Issa realized kind of then and there, like, wait, what just happened? So then she picks up this paper that's folded up and it's like a bachelorette like checklist of like, one of the things on the checklist was to befriend a stranger and to do a dine and dash. And that's when it hits Issa. that she had been scammed. Like, this was, it was so mean because Issa, they don't know what Issa's been through, but Issa really needed real, genuine friendship, even if it was only temporary. So, you know, they had fun at Issa's expense. So Issa just pays for the bill, and then she's driving along, and then she sees them. She sees these three ladies laughing and walking down the street. So she jumps out of her car, she goes over to them, and then she hits one of them with her art from the paint and sip. I should have known that this was one of Issa's like fantasy slash dream sequences, because Issa is non-confrontational, and I'm not even sure she's got hands like that. So, but anyway, it was funny. So Issa actually calls someone while she's in the car and asks them if she can come over. And for a second there, I thought she was talking to Nathan. And then I was like, I hope she's not talking to Molly, because I felt like Issa should stick to her guns and allow Molly to be the one. In a friendship, it's reciprocal. It can't always be the one person doing all the giving and one person doing all the taking. If Issa's always the one that tries to make amends, I think that it's fair to expect Molly to do it at some point. But she's actually called her mother. So she shows up on her mom's doorstep, and her mom welcomes her in. And, you know, she's just talking to her mom about how the, you know, how the block party went, and her mom is very proud of her, and everything is really good. And then all of a sudden her mom is like, come here. And Issa's like, what? And she's like, come here. Her mom grabs her, gives her a hug, and Issa ugly cries. And I felt that. I cried with Issa. We women are strong. We are powerful. We are bosses. We are all those things. But we can still be vulnerable. And it doesn't make us weak if we need a hug or if we show vulnerability. And I'm glad that Issa was able to do that. So Issa's mom sat down with her and gave her some real advice. You know, Issa was, you know, saying, you know, when you were my age, you know, you had your life together, you had 2 kids. And the mom was like, I did not have my life together. Like, I eventually found my way, but I didn't. And, you know, her mom was telling her that she was really proud of Issa, that Issa had, you know, was so talented at so many different things. And that was something that Issa hadn't heard enough of either. And I think that that's a really good message for a lot of the millennials out there. Now, I'm not a millennial. I'm a little older than that. But I think that sometimes people think you have to have it figured out by a certain time. I have to have my life all figured out after college. I have to have my life all figured out after 30. Don't get me wrong. At some point, you do need to have it figured out. But if you need a little extra time, give yourself some grace. Kelli, Tiffany, Molly, you know, Derek, I feel like everyone in Issa's inner circle has somewhat figured things out. And I think that, you know, when you compare yourself to other people, you could feel like you're not doing enough, that you're not enough. Comparison is the thief of joy. But Issa is figuring it out. She's just doing it on her own time, at her own pace, and that's fine. Just because it takes you longer to get somewhere doesn't mean that you'll never get there. So after leaving Issa's mom's house, she finally gives Kelli a call back, and so Kelli answers, and Kelli's like, did you call Molly? That's like the first thing she says, and Issa's like, I hope, are you giving Molly the same energy? And Kelli's like, yeah, and she was just like, you know, I think you guys should just talk to each other. She was like, if Tiffany and I hadn't had that conversation, like, I don't think we would have been able to make it. And Issa's like, well, I don't want to be the first one to have to reach out. And so Kelli's like, well, so does that mean if you don't hear from Molly that you'll never speak again? And Issa doesn't reply. The next thing we see is Issa at home, and she's relaxing, and she's like seeing all of the feedback from Facebook when people are like, you know, where's the truffle mac and cheese, and who was the first artist that was performing, and when can we have more things like this? And Issa finally starts answering them, saying coming soon. So Issa has definitely found her passion, and she will plan another event. Better be without Condola and her inconsistent self. You know, just like everybody else, I was mad that Condola left Issa while she was planning the block party, but now I see it as a blessing. Because if it had been successful and Condola helped the whole way, Issa would feel like the only way for me to be able to do this is with Condola. Issa was able to see, I actually can do this on my own. So I'm grateful for that. Sometimes people not helping you is a blessing because they don't get to take credit for your success, and you don't have to feel like they're the reason why you made it. Sometimes doing it on your own is the blessing. So Issa has nothing in her freshly cleaned fridge and decides to go on a run. She goes to this African restaurant, and she's about to go in, and she looks through the glass door. I think when Issa saw Molly, I think it really sort of dawned on her that Molly was over here completely #unbothered. She's down here kikiing and cackling down at the local bar while Issa has been worried about it all day, checking her messages, trying to get her life together, talking to her mom about it. She done ugly cried at her mom's house, all of that, and Molly seems unfazed. And I think it kind of makes her feel like, you know what, she was never as into this friendship as I am. Now, it could have just been, her perception. Molly could have just happened to be laughing at a funny meme for all she knows. But I think in the moment, Issa was just like, you know what, she doesn't care as much as I do, so you know what, that's fine. I don't care either. Issa turns around and walks away. And I was fine with that. Sometimes people get tired of always having to be the bigger person. Issa was the bigger person with a parking spot. She's always the bigger person when it comes to Molly. What really bothers me the most about Molly is that Molly has exhibited growth and shown forgiveness and shown that she could be the bigger person with so many other areas of her life this season. How she went and apologized to Torian, how she made peace with her female co-workers, how she, gave her dad the slice of pie and made peace with her dad. How many times this season alone, Molly has apologized to Andrew and humbled herself for Andrew. She can do it with everybody but Issa. I really just don't understand what Molly is upset about. She said when she was upset with Issa last week, saying that Issa was a user. And she was like, I knew I shouldn't have trusted you, that you're a liar. What did Issa lie about? How did Issa use Molly specifically? We haven't seen that on camera. If this is an old beef, I need some old footage. I need a throwback to college days or something. But I feel like Molly's reaction was disproportionate to Issa's actions. Like, it was just, you know what I'm saying? It's like you used a machete when you needed a scalpel. It was just overkill. We didn't need all that. You was putting 20 on 10, as the people say. Okay? The only theory as to why Molly could possibly be upset with Issa is just jealousy that everything seems to work out for Issa. There is a line in season 1 when Issa cheated on Lawrence, and Molly said to Issa, and I quote, "You don't even deserve Lawrence." I think that Molly might be upset that things seem to keep working out for Issa, and maybe Molly's had to work hard for everything, and she assumes that Issa just gets lucky. When she saw Issa and Lawrence talking at the baby shower, maybe she was just like, As she just keeps on winning. She did this man wrong, and he's still trying to, be cool with her. Maybe it's jealousy? I don't know. So anyway, I'd love to hear your thoughts and opinions on this episode. Let me know. Are you still mad at Nathan for ghosting Issa? Do you feel like once a ghost, always a ghost? Do you think that, Molly and Issa can work this out? And also, do you think that Issa should have went in and talked to Molly? That's what they need to talk. But do you think that Issa should have been the one to initiate it? I actually agree with Issa wholeheartedly. I wouldn't call Molly either. Honey, you showed out at my event. I'll be doggone if I'm going to call you to see how you're doing. I don't care how you're doing. You wasn't worried about me when you was showing out. And this isn't even the first time that Molly has done this. Molly did this at the fundraiser for We Got Y'all. She did this at the block party. She did this at the mixer. Molly has repeatedly decided in Issa's finest hour, that's when she wants to show out. That's when she wants to make it about her. I would love to hear your thoughts and opinions on it. If you like this kind of thing, go ahead and subscribe. Don't forget to like this video right now, especially if you watched it all the way to the end. See you next week for another recap/review. And yeah, that's pretty much it. I love you guys. See you in the next video. Till next time, later divas and dudes. Deuces, honey.